So please note that we will make the recording available to you after this session. It'll be available online along with the recordings from all of our other sessions. So if you know someone that was not able to attend, they are welcome to listen to the recording at their leisure, or they can participate in one of the other sessions that we'll be hosting for organization administrators in the future. Please note there is a second training that we're providing to you on how to manage end user accounts. So while this training will focus on how to get the users in the portal, we'll have a follow-on training for you to help you understand how to manage those user accounts once folks are in the portal. So here we go. We're going to start with talking about the objectives and what we're trying to accomplish with our training today. We'll give you a little bit of an overview about what is MGNNIEMAE and what's changing from our legacy systems to our modernized system, and what your role and your responsibilities are in the new portal. We'll talk to you about how to establish your own user account inside of the portal. Then we'll give you a live demonstration of what you're going to be doing to register end users in your own organization and provide them the access that they need. We'll give you a few troubleshooting tips, and then we'll talk to you about how to prepare for onboarding your users into the portal. There'll be time for our Q&A. We'll definitely get to some additional information about where you can get the user materials, resources, and other information when we get a little bit later on into the presentation. But in the meantime, if you do have questions, you're welcome to drop those questions in the Q&A or the chat, which is likely on the bottom of your screen. Okay. I am joined today by Wade Gale and Vicki Mirage at the Bank of New York Mellon, and they're going to do the live demonstration for you. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about what we're trying to accomplish today. Okay. So today we're going to give you a high-level overview of the portal and its general features, so you'll have an awareness of what any portal user is going to see, the look and feel when they get their account. We're going to give you instructions on how you register for your own account. Starting today, we began sending email invitations, and you should be receiving an invitation if you have not already between now and Thursday. We'll talk to you about what you need to do when you get that invitation. We're going to give you some guidance on how to prepare for onboarding your own end users and some of the information that you're going to want to collect so that you can do that seamlessly. We'll give you some instructions on how to complete those actions in the system. MGNNIEMAE has a module called the Access Management Console that is available to only to organization administrators or administrators of the portal, and we're going to talk to you about how to complete your functions in that Access Management Console. And then we're going to give you some information and tips on what to do to avoid some trouble and where you can go if you need some help. Okay, so what is MGNNIEMAE? MGNNIEMAE is a portal that provides enhanced security and a single entry point to all of our applications for each individual user. So this means you have one account with one username and password, and that will provide you all of the access that you need to our systems, whether you are an administrator or an end user or both, no matter how many organization IDs you need access to, if you have multiple lines of business, maybe both single family and multifamily. For this particular call, we are targeting our subservicers. So you absolutely have access to multiple issuer IDs that you subservice. All of that access is provided to you using one account. So you will have one username, which is your email address, and one password that will get you into the system once you have also submitted a one-time PIN. So so MGNNIEMAE, through single sign-on, which is that single username and password and PIN, gets you into a portal which houses our legacy systems and modernized applications. So once you get through the front door of MGNNIEMAE, you will see the GMAP 1.0 legacy system that you all already are used to. You will see GINNIENET, which you are already used to. You may also see, if you are a multifamily issuer, the new modernized multifamily pool delivery module. And you, if you are an organization administrator, which this phone call is targeting, will see the Access Management Console in order to onboard and manage end user accounts. So I just want to emphasize, you'll no longer go directly to GMEP and GinnieNet. You will log in through MyGinnieMae to get to our existing legacy systems, as well as any modernized systems that we bring online. Next slide. Okay, so why the change? Security, security, security. We didn't have a choice, folks. There are federal security requirements that required us to introduce additional, the portal, which introduces additional security. And that's a good thing. So while we do aim to give you a streamlined look and feel and an enhanced user experience, while we do aim to create efficiencies by introducing modernized applications, the bottom line is it's about keeping everything secure. All of the information and transactions that you do in the portal are now more secure than they have ever been. Now, some of the other features is that it allowed us to provide you single sign-on, which again means you have one username and password with a one-time PIN that will get you access to all of GinnieMae's systems and business applications. It did introduce multi-factor authentication. That's something that you're already experiencing today, most likely in your personal lives and probably other business situations, where after you've entered your username and password, you're prompted for a code. You can choose to have that code delivered to your email or to a smart device. I highly encourage you to register for the Oracle Mobile Authenticator to have that PIN delivered to your phone or other smart device. And yes, you can have that delivered to a personal phone. Each time you go log into the portal, you can select whether you would like that PIN delivered to your email or your smart device once it's been registered. And that is an additional factor that makes getting into the portal that much more secure. We've also introduced functional roles. This is a different way of providing system access that we'll talk about a little bit more in just a second. And it introduces an invitation model so that you as an organization administrator will have an audit trail that shows you when and how access was provided to your users. It'll also allow you reports, easy access to reports to show you the status of any users in the system for your organization, as well as the status of their access request as you're onboarding them into the portal. So again, a lot more transparency and information and security, as well as some ease that is going to make this an enjoyable experience for everyone. Next slide. So what exactly is changing when you go from the legacy environment of GMEP 1.0 and GinnieNet to our modernized environment of MyGinnieMae? So previously in our legacy systems, GinnieMae admins through the Bank of New York Mellon provided access to end users. Now it's you, the organization administrator, formerly known as the security officer or enrollment administrator at each organization, that provides that access to users in your organization. You're closer to those users, you're in a better position to know the status of their employment and their business functions, and therefore it's more appropriate for you to provide that access to them. So that's where it is. In our legacy systems, issuers provided system access to their subservicers. That is no longer true. Subservicers, you now have your own organization administrators, and you onboard and manage the employees in your organization. We are actually connecting through the HUD 11707, we are connecting our subservicers to the issuers that they subservice behind the scenes. And so there is nothing more for you to do other than to make sure that the employees at your organization have the proper access that they need. In our legacy environment, you would go directly to those systems through different URLs to log in. Through MyGinnieMae, you just go to my.ginniemae.gov and log in there, and you have access to all of those legacy systems as well as the modernized applications. In our legacy environment, you had a separate username and password required for each system. But once you entered that username and password, you got into the system. MyGinnieMae has a step up, what we called, again, multi-factor authentication, which also requires a one-time PIN. Again, additional security. In legacy environments, your access was identified by the applications and systems you wanted access to. So if you were a user that needed access to do your job, you would ask for specific systems. In MyGinnieMae, you just need to know what your job function is, and then the access and the systems that you need come with that. So as an organization administrator, you're going to find that posted in the appendix of your user manual, as well as on the mod page of the GinnieMae website, we have a functional role matrix. For each business partner type, be you single family, multifamily, subservicer, document custodian, HMDS, we have predetermined functional roles based on how your business is organized. So the folks that have responsibility for pooling will get those functional roles. The folks that have responsibility for reporting will get those functional roles. If you're an authorized signer, you have your own functional role. If you have responsibility for both of those functions, you can have both functional roles. But the bottom line is you don't need to be concerned with which system that requires you to access. You don't need to be concerned with that at all. So as we continue to modernize and introduce new modernized applications, that system access will come with the functional role based on your business function that you've already been provided at the time that that account is registered, okay? And the other thing is that in our legacy system, there was a separate username and password for each of those systems. And again, we already talked about there's just one username and one password now in MyGinnieMae, and that will forever be true. So as we continue to introduce new modernized applications, it'll still be that one username and one password that'll get you in. And then in our legacy environment, password and user profile management was done by the GinnieMae admins at the Bank of New York Mellon. That is no longer true, and we're going to talk more about that in a second. There are some self-service features that users can manage on their own to manage their accounts, and then the rest of it is managed by the organization administrator yourself. Okay, next slide. Okay, so let's talk about the different types of users and their roles and responsibilities. You are that middle light blue box, an organization administrator. What that means is you have the privilege to onboard users from your organization into the portal and establish an account for them. You also have the privilege to assign them functional roles based on their business responsibilities. You can add RSA tokens to those accounts. You can enable their accounts and disable their accounts. You can reset passwords. There are a number of functions that you'll be able to do as an organization administrator on behalf of end users in your organization. End users, that bottom line, are the folks that actually conduct business on behalf of your organization. So as an administrator, you have a security privilege that allows you to manage account access. It's the end user role, which provides you access to our business applications like GMEP, RFS, GinnieNet. And therefore, if you are an organization administrator that also conducts business on behalf of your organization, there's something important you need to note about the separation of duties within the registration and access workflow. It takes 2 organization administrators to request and approve a functional role for an end user. If you are an organization administrator that also needs a functional role, you cannot provide that access to yourself. That means you will need 2 other organization administrators to request and approve that role for you. So it is strongly advised that you have a minimum of 3 organization administrators, preferably more, to make sure that you are able to manage the access workflow on behalf of your users, okay? The operations administrator at the top of this chart is the Bank of New York Mellon on behalf of GinnieMae. The Bank of New York Mellon has one key or actually two key responsibilities when it comes to account access in MyGinnieMae. The first one is to onboard the organization administrators. You do not onboard yourselves. There's no one in your organization that can do that for you. That is a security privilege that is provided by the operations administrator. So that is their first very important function. Their second very important function is called finalization. For any end users that our organization administrators onboard, it is the Bank of New York Mellon as the operations administrator on behalf of Ginnie Mae that finalizes or does final approval on those accounts. And those are their key functions. Talk a little bit about that on the next slide. Okay, oh, not the next, I'm sorry. What we're going to talk about now are functional roles. We'll get to some of that other stuff in a little bit later. So functional roles, these are the roles that you will assign to the users of your organization so they can do business with Ginnie Mae, okay? You can see on the bottom of this sheet we have an example of a Subservicer functional role. It's called Subservicer Investor Reporting Basic User. This is the user that will submit monthly pool and loan level accounting data, submit quarterly custodial account verification data, review monthly remittance information, and review monthly reporting exceptions and feedback errors. So once again, what this means is that as an admin in the portal, you will need to be familiar with the business functions of your users so that you can assign the proper role based on the role description and the business functions that user completes. You don't need to be concerned with exactly which systems that user needs. We've already done that for you, but you do need to be aware of what their responsibilities are. Please note, if you assign every functional role available to any one end user, that may raise a red flag with the operations administrator, causing them not to finalize or provide final approval of that user's account. So please make sure that you are discriminately providing access solely based on the business responsibilities of each end user. If you have any additional questions about functional roles and what functional roles are available to your organization, especially as our subservicers, please go to the modernization page on the Ginnie Mae website and pull down one of the user manuals, or we also have separately posted the functional role matrix. It will list all of the roles that are available to your organization by organization type, including subservicer. It is important for you to know, as an organization administrator, you are responsible for the access that you provide to your users in our system. Please make sure that you are doing so based on the business function that they play in your organization. When you assign access to a basic user, this is the access that you are providing. If they are an authorized signer on behalf of your organization, all of the basic user functions come with that. You do not need to assign them both the basic user and authorized signer functional role. They would only need to receive the authorized signer functional role, meaning they're on the HUD 11702, and they likely have an RSA token, and then you would assign them that authorized signer functional role. All of the basic user functions would come with that. You do not need to assign them both functional roles. Next slide. Okay, so here's a little bit about the differences in what organization administrators do versus what users can do on their own versus what our operations administrator at the Bank of New York Mellon completes. As an organization, let me start with, as an end user, if your end users have forgotten their password, need to reset their password, want to register or deregister a device with the Oracle Mobile Authenticator, or need to update certain account attributes like maybe a mobile phone number or business title, they can manage all of those functions on their own. They actually do not need any assistance from anyone to complete those actions. However, there are other actions that you as the organization administrator can complete on their behalf or assist them with. In order to send an invitation to establish an account in the portal, that takes an organization administrator. You would also approve or reject those requests as an organization administrator. You can request a functional role for an end user as an organization administrator. You can approve or reject that functional role. You can remove a functional role as an organization administrator. You're also allowed to enable or disable an active or inactive account. You can lock or unlock an account, temporarily, should you choose to do so, based on, whatever factors would require you to do that within your organization. You can complete all of those actions on your own as an organization administrator in the portal. You're also able to assist end users with deregistering for the Oracle Mobile Authenticator, and you're able to update certain account attributes that users are not able to update on their own, like their RSA token number. So we strongly encourage that at the time you send a registration invitation, if you know that someone is a token holder, that you enter their token serial number at the time you send that registration invitation. If you do not do so, the user has the opportunity when completing that registration invitation to add the information at that time. If they do not do so and the account is established without the person having indicated that they have an RSA token, you are able, after the account is established, to introduce an RSA token at that time. But you, the organization administrator, would actually have to do so and then contact the Bank of New York Mellon to inform them that that has been completed. But other than that, the account attributes may be managed by the end user, except for that RSA token. Now, you'll see in that far right column, it's the operations administrator that does what we call final acknowledgement or finalization of those access requests. So when you go to establish a new user account and add functional roles, or if it's an existing user account and you add functional roles, those roles are finalized by the operations administrator at the Bank of New York Mellon on behalf of Ginnie Mae. You will also see that is the only star that they have in their column. That means that all of these other functions, which belong to the organization administrator at each organization, cannot be completed by the operations administrator at the Bank of New York Mellon. What this means is you will need to make sure that you have enough organization administrators available to your end users to make sure that they have proper account access at any given point in time, as the Bank of New York Mellon will not be able to intervene. They will be able to support you as an organization administrator if you have questions about how to complete certain actions, but they cannot complete those actions on your behalf. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to skip past this. This is a little bit of information about how to register for a user account, but Wade Gale at the Bank of New York Mellon is actually going to do a live demonstration of these steps, so you will be able to see that then. We're going to go straight into, not that straight. There we go. We're going to go straight into our onboarding workflow, where I should be able to cover this pretty quickly because we kind of already talked about a lot of this stuff. There are two key workflows in providing a user a new account and a functional role. When you're providing a user a new account, we call that the registration workflow. When you're providing a user, whether it's a new user or an existing user, a functional role, we call that the access workflow. Each of those workflows has a request and approval function, which is why it takes two organization administrators. If you start on the far left of this workflow, you will see org admin number 1. Org admin number 1 is sending a registration invitation, which is a request, to an end user. That end user will complete a registration form and send it back through the system. What happens next is an organization administrator, org admin number 2, meaning an organization administrator who did not send the registration invitation request, will then approve or reject that request. There are notifications that automatically are sent via the portal to your email, and you will be notified whenever there is a request that requires an approval. So you will go in, you will approve that registration invitation to establish a user account, and then immediately proceed to request a functional role. Once that administrator has requested a functional role, again, an automated system alert will notify all of the other organization administrators that an approval is required. One of those organization administrators will go in and approve that request, which will then trigger a notification to the operations administrator at the Bank of New York Mellon on behalf of Ginnie Mae, who will complete the step that is called finalization. Once all of that is complete, the end user will receive an email notification welcoming them to the portal, and another notification informing them that functional roles have been assigned. At that point, the user can log into the portal and they can access Ginnie Mae business applications. So collectively, this is called the onboarding workflow. And Wade Gale is going to demonstrate that for you in just one moment. Wade?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much, Letitia. Let me share my workstation. And what did I do?
No, you're good, Wade. We can see you. You can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon again, everyone. Wade Gill here. What I'm starting off with is I'm sure we have been sending out invites since around 8:45 today. So if you are one that has been on our list, you have most likely gotten that initial invite, and quite a lot of you have actually filled them out, and we have actually given the privilege role. So this, just for those who are coming on the first time, this is what you'll get. You'll get an invite from us, and just want to take a look at what you'll see. Do not reply _access, not UAT, but this where I'm just showing you because we're using our UAT environment just to do the demo. You'll get this invite you'll need to fill out and send back to us so we can actually approve and give you the appropriate privilege role as an org admin to do that function in your office for your end user. So what I'm going to try and do, just going to give an idea what it looks like in terms of the form itself. What I do in my environment, most of the time I have to do a copy, so that's what I'm actually doing here. And if everything is okay, this is what the invite looks like when you actually open it in your space. It's going to have your name, of course, the middle name if one was on our sheet to actually send to your last name, and your email address. And it's very important because this is how you're going to be known now on the system. It's not going to be that I_ that you're used to in GenNet, or not in GenNet, I5 or whatever number for GenNet, or I_ for GMAP. Your user ID now is going to be your email address, most likely your work email address. So this is what's going to look like. It's going to have your title, your phone number. There are some fields that you can fill in, so let's just fill in the work number here. So this invite is actually coming back to us once it's completed. Mobile number, it's an optional field. If you want to fill in your number there, that's fine. But the most important thing on here is get your password in, write it down, remember it, do that nice little numbers and letters and symbols so you'll know what it is. So I'm going to do that right now. And I'm going to do the confirmation on that password. And then, Letitia, I'd mentioned this earlier about your RSA token. Now, since we're setting up a org admin, now if you, as an org admin, you do have a RSA token because you also perform the end user function, you have the ability to actually key in that RSA token number by clicking on yes, and then it put in that 9-digit token number that's on the bottom, not the bottom, the back of that RSA fob. You'll see that 9-digit serial number. That's the number we use. Just for purposes today, I'm just gonna do no. Then once that information is in, you want to make sure you do these terms and conditions. Double click. And of course, make sure you read all of this stuff. Once you agree, and then you want to do accept the private policy. So this is just a reminder, just to make sure you review the MGM policy. Click on yes. And once the information is in, you just want to look it over again just to make sure everything is good. Make sure you have written down your correct password, because you're going to need that when your functional roles have been, not functional roles, when your privileged roles have been assigned and you get a notice that you can log in. So let's click and finish so we can send this off to BNY Mellon. Registration awaiting for approval. So what happens, that information is sent over to us, and we're in the process of actually doing the approval. So I'm just going to log in again as a user now who has actually got the approval from BNY Mellon and is ready to log into their system as a org admin. Okay, so it comes up with your asking for your user ID, and of course, always our user ID now is our email address, most likely our work email address. Quite a few IDs here, so I'm just trying to figure out which one I'm going to use. And don't do this at home or don't do this at work. I did it just for training purposes, so I could just remember the user ID just to log it in. It's not good. It's really a no-no to actually save that stuff in, but for training, it just works a little bit better for me today. I'm going to put in that password. That was created when I initially did the invitation. And once that information is in, I'm going to click on Login. And I hope I did put in the correct information. It never fails. Wait, Gail does it again. So let's try this again. And I did not do them. Yes, I did it on purpose so I could show you what could happen in your environment. Let me try and get this password in. See if the second time is the charm. Yes, I got it the second time. Now we get to the area that we talk multi-factor authentication. Of course, you had gone through the earlier slides, and Letitia had mentioned there are different ways of getting in the system. Now this is when you have to make your pick. For me, I did choose the second one-time PIN from Oracle Mobile Authenticator, but you can also request that you get this PIN via your email address. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on OK. I don't know, Vicky, I know you wanted to talk about the screen. Do you want to say anything?
Sorry, Wade, it's just hard to unmute.
Okay.
All right, this is the one-time password. We call this the multi-factor authentication. So once you enter your user ID and your original password you set up at registration, you also have that second authentication method, which you can have delivered by email, or you can have it delivered by a mobile authenticator. And Wade, if you click on the instructions for the mobile authenticator, all right, and here we have the mobile authenticator. You can download the application, which is Oracle Mobile Authenticator. You can download the application to your smart device, which can be a cell phone or an iPad. You can scan the code on here, and it allows you to log in with your MyGinnieMae user ID and password. And this would allow you to receive your one-time password via your phone device or an iPad. You can go back to the next screen, Wade. And what it does is you don't have to wait for an email to come in. It auto-generates, similar to what the RSA does.
Thank you very much, Vicky. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to retrieve my PIN now from my phone. And I have it, so I'm going to put it in. And if I did put in the correct information, it gives you 30 seconds. There goes the problem. I'm always getting these error messages. Man, oh man. Just to tell you, we're actually in the UAT environment, so let me just see what I can do just to avoid this again. Let me just try this again. And this is the time when you, of course, the team will be calling us that I try to log in and I'm getting an error message. Can you tell me? Then we'll try and put our team on it and try and do some troubleshooting if it needs that in-depth troubleshooting from the error message you share with us. So let me go back and click on login. Come on, Wade. You can do this. What's wrong with me today? Oh, there I go. When I do get in, I just want everybody to just make a big applause. Just put your phone on off mute and just applaud so I can feel good. Let me put in that pin down from my thing. And click on login. You notice on the top it says invalid one-time PIN because I think I've expired the 30 seconds. So let me try again. Good. Finally, this is what I want to show, but I want to go back, want to change the screen because I want you to to where you should land. The first place you should actually land is on the dashboard. You want to make sure you land right here on the dashboard. I should have just cleaned up all the openings, and I would have landed right here. You want to make sure you land right here in the dashboard, and there's just some general information about the dashboard. You have the notes, you have the inbox, but for you as org admin, you're most interested in the AMC section. So you're going to go right up to where it says link or tools, not link, and right to where it says application. Do you see the access management console? That's where you want to go, because this is where you're going to do most of your task as a org admin for your end users. So let's click on access management control, and you'll get this warning you're about to open so you're going to just click on yes, and it takes you to the 4 tiles. Yes, these 4 tiles are very important. You're going to need these 4 tiles as part of your process. You're going to need a new issuer registration, and of course that's the tile you're going and send the registration to your end user. Access request, that's the tile you'll go in and add that functional role to that end user. Pending approval, that's the tile you go in and do the approval if you're the second admin before those functional roles can be finalized. And of course, user management is where you can go in and see, you bring up the entire profile of that user, and you can see their functional roles and also see the status of those functional roles as part of your process. So we're in, and we're confident, and let's see if we can go in and send an invite. Click on new user registration. Screen come up. We're going to look for the area that says applications. We're going to click on applications. And on the application where it says others, we're going to click on user registration. And if everything is good, it should open up to this screen here. Then you just proceed to enter the necessary information for that person. I'm going big time with this person today. I just use the organization administration. And I'll use and then the email address. Once that's in, I usually tell users just to click out of the box for a while, because if that email address was not correct, if it was not whitelisted, you want to make sure that it's whitelisted. Well, we will do that, and we will get an error message, or you'll get an error message there, so you might end up calling us on that. So once the information is in, we're just going to click on the button here that says submit. So it's very simple, just the main information and submit. You're going to send that to the end user. So that information is actually sent to the end user. Once the end user fills in the information, it must be approved by the no, I'm not saying it wrong. I'm actually doing what we do here. The registration goes to the second org admin. That's what I meant to say. Vicky, just add in if I'm missing anything, please.
Right, so you sent out the registration, and once the user completes the registration, it will go to the second org admin under pending approval.
So I'm going to log in as a second admin, right?
Well, so far you sent out, yes.
So I'll be logged.
You previously filled out the registration.
So I'm going to pretend now I'm going to log in as a second admin. Okay, these IDs are not working for me today. I'm going to use my one-time PIN. Once that's in and it starts do the verification, if everything is okay, it comes up to the screen, and then I'm going to go to on the tools. I'm going to choose Access Management Console, and I need to have those 4 tiles. And I'll be going to where it says Pending Approval. And here's the so I'm going to just bring it up on the screen. Now, at this point, if you as an org admin see that some information is not correct or the person's name is not spelled correctly, you have the ability to you can reject the registration here, because you don't want to just blind copy and just click on approve and the first name or last name is not spelled correctly, because that becomes an issue going further down the way to get it corrected. So you just want to make sure you just review the information, make sure it's correct, and then if you're satisfied, you just do the approve. So I'm looking, it looks good, so I'm going to do the approval. You want to make sure it's confirmed. And of course, you get that notification up there, user registration request, and the number approved successfully. So I'm good. So that person is good to go. So what I need to do now is give that person some functional roles. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to choose Access Request. And once that comes up, I'm going to try and locate that person. Here's that person right here. And I can go ahead. Now what happens, you'll see the functional roles are available of course, some of these roles are test roles, so they're not roles that you might use as part of your process. So, Vicky, should I try and give this a Subservicer role? What do you want me to do? Okay, yes, ma'am. Just tell Ian, can you, you can, what do I do? Stop sharing and I'll give it to you.
Yep, that works.
I did? Vic, it's all yours.
Vicky, if you're sharing, you can go ahead and start.
Vicky doesn't trust me with this piece, so she wants to do it herself, but I'm good. My shoulders are broad. I can take it. Okay, Vicky, your turn. No.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, you're pretty good.
All right. So this is a Subservicer view. Once you go to Access Request, and we're going to select our user. And again, this is UAT, so the system may run a little bit slow. I'm going to select the user that I want to assign a functional role to. And my users currently belong to my organization, which is OVERVIEW, and this is just an example in UAT. And currently, I have 3 11707s approved on my profile. So I'm now the subservicer for these 3 issuers. What I can do is I can select the issuer that I'm going to subservice for, and then you will only be able to assign a subservicer functional role. So in these subservicer functional roles, there are specific roles that are just geared for investor reporting. There isn't any new pool processing roles assigned in here. I can go back, and I can assign a role to myself along with a subservicer role. And here I would see all of the roles that are available under my organization, which are your single-family roles, and then you can also assign a subservicer role for that entity. And this is because I have an approved 11707 on file. I can select both. I can go to Assign Roles. And here I have 1 role assigned to my user for my company, and then I have 1 role assigned to the end user for subservicing access. And once I submit, it will go to the second org admin for second approval, and then it will go to the PPA for final approval. And Wade, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Okay. And I guess Vicky just didn't trust me with that. So I think, well, for me now, I think that basically covers most of what I wanted to show in the demo in terms of the access that you need to give to your end user. As if you're playing a subservicer role, you see what Vicky just did. If you're not playing a subservicer role, then you'll just go ahead and give them the regular functional roles that they'll need to do their job. So who's sharing now? Is it Vicky? Are you still sharing?
Okay, I stopped sharing, Wade. You can take control now.
I appreciate it. Okay, so what I just want to give you an idea, if I can find one of these things that we did earlier, just to give you what would look like when the full roles are actually, we'll go back to user management. Just want to give you what the status will look like when the roles are completely approved by us here at BNY Mellon. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we're in the UAT. Here it is. So I'm just going to try and do 007 and bring up this person and see what comes up. Okay, one more thing here. You notice the RSA token. Now, as an org admin, if you realize that this person needs a RSA token, you can actually go in and add that RSA token on their profile. So that's another chance you get if you're going to give them some functional role that they're going to need to submit. You can give the RSA token role here, and then that information will be generated and sent up to us at BNY Mellon. We're going to go to Manage User Permission. I just want to see if you can see anything. This is the last status you want to see actually for that user, the end user, confirmed. That means the roles have been assigned, they've been approved by the org admin, and they've been finalized by BNY Mellon as the operation admin. And once it's been finalized, it goes through some little check and balances behind the scene. And once that's done, that finalization is going to turn to confirmed. Once confirmed is done, that's when email is going to be sent out to those end users, telling them that functional roles have been assigned and approved or confirmed, and then also another email that they can log in and continue doing their processing. So that concludes that little short demo into the new MyGinnieMae space. Letitia?
Thank you, Wade. Okay, folks, so we've got a little bit more to cover here. Wade, I think you need to talk with us about some troubleshooting tips.
Yes. Since we have like 3 different errors that we usually see as part of our onboarding, so we just want to share these with you. If you do see them, you'll know how to work through them. So the first one is email is already registered issue. Of course, that comes up when you try to set up the same information again for Wade Gale. Wade Gale is on the system, but somehow you did not remember that his email is already there. You try to set up the same information again and submit him. So you'll get that message for the email. The email address is already registered, so that you know you can send. And the resolution, since the system is configured to prevent invitation to email address is already registered, if attempting to add a functional role, please refer to the section Request Functional Role. It could be also you just went into the wrong tile and you wanted to really go into Access Requests and you went in to set up, send out a new registration. So you just want to make sure you know that the same email cannot be entered twice on the system if it's been accepted and approved already. Next slide, please. Now this is another one. You had sent out an email request, another email invite. The person did not respond, so you send it again. The person still did not respond, so you send it a 3rd time. Now then these are just some alerts. This is not going to do anything to you. We're just telling you, hey, this is a warning message. No actions required. That invitation cannot be sent up. Can be sent up to 5 times. But we're giving you a warning because you have done 3 times already. So we're just warning you. You're close to that 5th submission. So this is just a warning, just to tell you if you did it more than 3 times, you're going to get that message, or 3 times enough. Next slide, please. Now this one is 5 invitations send flag issue. When sending a new registration invite to an end user, if the invitation has already been sent to the end user email address a total of 5 times, the email address will be flagged and additional requests cannot be sent. So you just want to be careful on that. Maybe you didn't know that this person maybe is on sick leave and you keep on sending them. Maybe this person is just ignoring your email. If you send it more than 5 times, it's going to be another notice, and this time you'll have to get in touch with us at BNY Mellon to actually get this rectified. So in order to send another invite to the user email address, action is required from the operation admin group. So you don't want it to get to that 5 email, because we have to do some magic behind the scenes to allow you to send that invite again. So those are just some of the things we wanted to share. Next screen. And then I'm going to pass it over to the lovely Letitia.
Thank you, Wade.
Well, you're welcome.
Okay, folks, so there are 3 more things to cover before we open up for a Q&A. I'm sure you guys have some questions, and so we're happy to hang on to answer those. If you do need to leave us before that time, please make sure you fill out the poll. We take your feedback very seriously. Your comments make it all the way up to our executives, and we always want to know what we can do to improve upon our deliveries. So please do make sure you take time to fill out that poll. But before you go, few more important things to cover. First of all, to prepare yourself for onboarding, what you need to know is that if you are in Wave 2, if you are an organization administrator in Wave 2, you will be receiving from cxg@hud.gov an email with user lists of your users in our legacy systems as of November 2019. This list is to assist you in preparing yourself for onboarding users in your own organizations and sending those registration invitations. It is not a source of truth. Your responsibility is to find out which users will need access to MyGinnieMae and provide them the proper account access. But it is a tool to assist you in that work. So starting today and over the next few days, we are sending those lists via email, cxg@hud.gov, to assist you in that work. Another item of note is that your registration invitation, if you have not seen it already and you are an organization administrator in Wave 2, will be coming from do-not-reply_access@ginniemay.gov. So be on the lookout for that email. And also note that when you are sending registration invitations, that is the email address that those emails will be coming from. If you are an organization administrator in Wave 2, you should get that email between today and Thursday. If you do not get that email and you believe you are an organization administrator and you have verified on the Ginnie Mae website on the modernization page that you are in where your organization is in Wave 2, please reach out on Friday to the Ginnie Mae customer support team so that they can assist you. We'll provide contact information in just one moment, but I do want to remind you that per the MBS guide, your organization is required to have 2 administrators. However, because of the workflow and in the event of an emergency, it is strongly suggested that you have a minimum of 3, preferably more, so that you are able to quickly assist your users in the event there is an account issue, especially since the folks at the bank are not going to be able to proceed with managing account access on behalf of your users. Please note that in order to be an organization administrator, in case you need to add an organization administrator on behalf of your organization, that user must be listed on the HUD 11702. Also remember, org admins are not permitted to manage their own account registration or access. So if an organization administrator needs to be onboarded with the org admin security privilege, it's our operations administrator at the Bank of New York Mellon who will be able to do that. If that organization administrator needs a business role, a functional role to do business with Ginnie Mae, it is 2 other organization administrators at your organization that will have to request and approve that functional role. A few things about system requirements. MyGinnieMae can be accessed using Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, or Mozilla Firefox. A couple notes here. We will note that MyGinnieMae does seem to work more efficiently and with fewer errors in Google Chrome. However, our legacy systems, GMAP 1.0 and GinnieNet, have had some problems with certain boxes popping up in Chrome, so they do like Internet Explorer a little bit better. As we continue to modernize, our systems, you'll see fewer and fewer of these issues. But while we remain in both modernized and legacy environments, it is one of those bears that we're going to wrestle with. So if you're trying to work and information does not seem to be displaying properly, just try another web browser and see if it works out a little bit better for you. And note that while MyGinnieMae prefers Google Chrome, our legacy systems do tend to prefer Internet Explorer. But what is true in any case, regardless of the browser that you are using, your pop-up blockers must be disabled. You will not be able to navigate properly in MyGinnieMae if you do not disable your pop-up blockers. If your end users are having issues navigating the portal, that is likely the first message that you're going to want to share with them. And word to the wise, please disable your pop-up blockers in any web browser that you are using to access MyGinnieMae. Next slide. Again, as you prepare for onboarding, as I mentioned, we are going to send you user lists based on the users that were in our legacy systems from your organization as of November 2019, and you can use that to assist you. But you may want to begin gathering these pieces of information so that you can start sending registration invitations as soon as you gain your access to the portal. One of the things that is not going to be on the list that we provide you is the RSA token serial number. So you'll want to gather that. If you can, reach out to the users in your organization to collect that information or instruct them to enter it at the time they complete their registration invitation. If you need additional information or a list of the RSA token holders in your organization, you can reach out to Ginnie Mae Customer Support. And again, we'll provide some information to you in just a moment. But these are the pieces of information that you're going to want to collect. As I mentioned before, on the modernization page of the Ginnie Mae website is a functional role matrix. That functional role matrix will give you an indication of what types of business activities are connected to functional roles in the portal. You may want to take a look at that so that you can have better understand what functional role you're going to need to assign to the different users in your organization. Some other tips: do not send registration invitations to users that are out of the office. As Wade indicated in his troubleshooting, after 5 attempts, it does become a problem. Those registration invitations expire within 24 hours. So if you get an out-of-office reply from someone that you have sent a registration invitation to, do not proceed to resend until you have verified that they are back in the office. Also, do not bookmark the login page. MyGinnieMae has a public landing page at my.ginniemae.gov. There is no www. It is strictly my.ginniemae.gov. That is what we call the public landing page. From there, you select the login button, which takes you to the login screen where you enter your username and your password. If you bookmark the login screen, there are problems with cookies and that page loading from time to time. So please do not call the help desk if you can't get that page to load. It's probably a creation of your own doing. Please make sure that you begin your session from my.ginniemae.gov. Bookmark this page and life will be grand. Bookmark the login page and I cannot help you. Okay? Also, make sure you refer to the user manuals that are posted on the modernization page of ginniemae.gov. There are good step-by-step instructions, including pictures and screenshots to help you navigate pretty much any process that you will need to navigate while you are working in the portal. So use those materials. They're there for you. Next slide. So here's what's next. If you have not already received your registration invitation, you will be getting that shortly. As I mentioned, if you have not received that invitation by Friday, please reach out to the folks at the Ginnie Mae Customer Support. Their information is on the bottom of this page, 1-833-GNMA-HELP. That's 1-833-466-2435, or GinnieMae1@bnymellon.com. So again, please wait till Friday. There are about 150 organizations in this wave, and so it does take some time to get all of those messages sent out, those invitations sent out. So please don't contact them before Friday. But if come Friday you have not received that email, definitely reach out to those folks so that they can get you squared away. Also, please make sure that you have onboarded your end users by the target date for your wave. For Wave 2, that is June 3rd. And here's why you're going to want to get that done by June 3rd. Direct access to our legacy systems will be removed at that time. That means starting on June 3rd, your users must go through MyGinnieMae with their new username and password to get to our legacy systems, GMAP and GinnieNet. So you will want to make sure that your users are onboarded with a MyGinnieMae account and proper access prior to that date so they have no interruption in their ability to conduct business. Again, June 3rd is the date that you're going to want to make sure that you have onboarded your end users for wave, if you are in Wave 2. Please encourage your users to attend MyGinnieMae training. We have release and training schedule posted. All of our training dates have already been established and are posted on that schedule. Call details are published on a rolling basis on the modernization page of the GinnieMae website, so you can find those details there. Most of these sessions are going to be very similar to one another, so if you are unable, if your users are unable to attend the next end user session, they can either listen to the recording that will be posted on the modernization page, or they can attend another session at their leisure. But please make sure that your end users are attending training. Also, please do remember that there is a second organization administrator training that will be hosted on March 9th. And that training is to provide you additional information as an organization administrator on how to manage end user accounts. So now that you, this training focused on how to establish those accounts and send registration invitations. When we convene again on March 9th, we're going to talk to you about how to manage those accounts. If you need to enable, disable, add additional functional rules, we'll talk to you more about that then, including how to read the reports that are available in MyGinnieMae about your onboarding activities and your user activity. Also, please note that every Thursday, unless we have a scheduled training event, every Thursday we are hosting weekly listening sessions. Now this Thursday we do have a scheduled training event for your end users, so we will reconvene on the following Thursday. But at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be on the line each Thursday that we do not have our scheduled training to answer any questions that you might have and provide additional tips about how to onboard your users and manage those accounts, and other information about activity and new features in the portal. So definitely join us for those Thursday sessions as you can. Check the modernization page often on GinnieMae.gov. I do know over the next couple days we will be posting a bunch of the recordings from the sessions that we've hosted over the last couple weeks. So that page is a dynamic page and will be updated regularly with information and additional call details. Make sure you're checking the modernization page often. If you go to GinnieMae.gov, you hover over the Issuer tab, and drop down under Issuer Training, you're going to see Modernization. There's a section on MyGinnieMae, and all the information that you could possibly need is going to be right there at your fingertips on that page. So, we're going to go ahead and open it up for Q&A. If you joined today's session on your computer audio, if you go to the bottom of your screen, you can raise your hand, which will prompt us to unmute your line so you can ask a question. If you joined today's call via a phone line, you can hit *9, which will indicate for us that you want your line unmuted so you can ask a question that way. There is also a Q&A feature as well as a chat. In the Zoom session, you're welcome to type your question in there if you prefer to ask a question that way. But anyway around it, before you leave, please check the chat for a link to our poll. We definitely take that feedback very seriously. As I mentioned before, your feedback goes eventually makes its way to our executives here at GinnieMae, so everyone is sincerely interested in what you have to say about the information and training that we are providing. So, again, if you would like to join over the computer audio, raise your hand from the bottom of the Zoom session. If you'd like to join on the phone, hit *9 now. Ian, do we have any questions on the line?
No, nothing so far.
Wow, Wade, that means you did such an excellent job. You left them with nothing to possibly ask.
Or they're all asleep.
Yeah, that could be it too. As I mentioned, folks, you can also type your question in the Q&A at the bottom of the screen or in the chat if you're feeling a little bit shy or are having trouble connecting to the audio. *9 if you've joined us on a phone line. You can raise your hand from the bottom of the screen if you have a question that you'd like to submit through your computer audio. If you have general questions about MyGinnieMae, our release effort, our training schedule, or our user materials, please reach out to cxg@hud.gov, CXG for Customer Experience Group at HUD.gov, and ask those questions there. If you have a technical question, or need assistance with onboarding your users, go ahead and reach out to GinnieMae Customer Support. Their information is at the bottom of your screen on the slide, 1-833-466-2435, or you can reach them at ginniemay1@bnymellon.com. Any questions on the line, Ian?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. As I mentioned, cxg@hud.gov if you have general questions. And also, please do check the chat. I would like for you to take an opportunity to provide us your feedback, any questions or concerns that you might have through the polling questions or feedback survey for today's session, okay? Thank you so much, and enjoy MyGinnieMae.
Thank you.